And welcome to a Greater You show here on IntellectualRadio.com. And I'm your host, Dr. Anthony L. Gantt, here for another show. We are an iHeart station. We are the station that feeds your brain. So I'm going to do my part to do that this particular episode. To feed your brain, we have shows going on here Sunday through Saturday, mornings, afternoons, and evenings. The Intellectual Radio is 24 hours, 7 days a week. So there's always some show on that you can partake in. Something else about it is that we all of our shows are recorded. So they are archived, so you can go back to the last 10 years and you can find a show that you would like to be a part of. Any of the shows that I have here, all you have to do is put in a Greater You show, and then all the shows that I've done under that title will be there. You can just kind of peruse through that. Or Great Business Skills Show, same thing will apply. So before we get started, I would like you to, if you haven't done this already, I know I ask of you to do this every show. If you haven't done it already, if you can go to Intellectual Radio, go to YouTube on IntellectualRadio.com and then hit the subscribe button there, as well as hit the bell so you can be notified of all the great shows we have going on here Sunday through Saturday. Again, we have shows, in educational shows, entertainment shows, relationship shows, spiritual shows, community activist shows, religious shows. We have a plethora of shows here that you can divulge in. You can follow the host. They're on different parts. They're on different places as far as social media platforms. You can follow them there as well. So we have a lot of shows here, a lot of great hosts doing a lot of great things. So we'd like you to partake. And if you've done it already, thank you very much. If you can encourage some of your family and friends to do the same thing, we really would appreciate it here at IntellectualRadio.com. So before I get started, I'm going to promote some people before we get started. And if you'd like to get promoted on any of the shows I do here on IntellectualRadio.com, you can contact me at email me at fullofpurposemedia@gmail.com. That's fullofpurposemedia@gmail.com. And then, you can do the same thing will apply to you as well. The first person I'm going to promote is Mr. Terrance Godbolt. He's an attorney at law. When someone passes away, they always leave some unfinished business. If they have a will or estate plan in place, that unfinished business is usually easier to conclude. With or without a will or estate plan, you should consult with someone who knows and understands the law in this particular area. Attorney Terrance Godbolt has more than 20 years of experience in assisting people just like you in these circumstances. Also, Attorney Terrance Godbolt has also assisted entrepreneurs in achieving their business dreams. He can help you with establishing your LLC, C Corps, S Corps, and many other things that's pertaining to business and legal parts of business, as well as he can help you in real estate also. You can contact Mr. Attorney Terrance Godbolt at 708-596-6984, or you can email him at B as in boy, OLT as in Tom, ESQ at Comcast.net. You also get a free consultation by mentioning the fact that you heard about Mr. Terrance Godbolt here on a Greater You show here at IntellectualRadio.com and iHeart Station with your host, Dr. Anthony L. Gantt. The next person, Miss Tammey D. Hale. She's a real estate professional in the Northwest part of Indiana. Looking to buy, sell, or invest in Indiana real estate, call Tammey D. Hale. She is the owner of Miss Hale Realty. Tammey serves all of Northwest Indiana. She has over 17 years of experience. Tammey is professional and knowledgeable about the Indiana real estate market. Tammey D. Hale wants to be your real estate broker for life. You can contact Miss Tammey D. Hale. That's 219-781-2963. And you also get a free consultation by mentioning that you heard about Miss Tammey D. Hale here on IntellectualRadio.com or here on the Greater You show on IntellectualRadio.com and iHeart Search with your host, Dr. Anthony L. Gantt. The next person is Miss Yardley L. Theodore. She's an insurance professional. Are you a truck driver? Do you want to save money on your business insurance? If so, don't wait. Contact Miss Yardley at 630-998-8852. She is a dedicated insurance broker who has the ability to quote you from multiple insurance companies to save you money. You'll also get a free consultation by mentioning that you heard about Miss Yardley L. Theodore here on a Greater You show here on IntellectualRadio.com and iHeart Station with your host, Dr. Anthony L. Gantt. And the last person we promote before we get started is Miss Sonja Perdue, and she's an insurance professional as well. will your insurance company pay you 70 to 90% of your policy face value if you experience a qualifying terminal or chronic or critical illness or critical injury? If not, get started with living benefits today. Contact Ms. Sonja Perdue at 773-609-2226 or www.getstartedwithlivingbenefits.com. You'll also get a free consultation by mentioning that you heard about Ms. Sonja Perdue and her business here on The Greater You Show, A Greater You Show here on IntellectualRadio.com and iHeart Station with your host, Dr. Anthony L. Gantt. And also, if you missed any of the numbers or emails that I said, that information will be under the show. So you can also look under the show and you can get all the information. And if I promote you, same thing will happen for you as well. So again, here we are, A Greater You Show. This is a self-help show, self-help book club, self-help coaching session, self-help class, all wrapped into one. And it's all the shows that I do here, Intellectual Radio, based on that I have written or in the process of writing or in the publishing process, which is what this one is. So this is a series that we're in, and the name of the series is How to Rebuild Your Life After Divorce. And this is part 4. This is the final part of the series that we're doing today. And if you're new to me or new to IntellectualRadio.com, I always do a recap of the prior shows so you can catch up and know where we are. And so it won't sound so foreign to you if I'm saying certain things, or maybe I'm not saying things. You might think, why didn't he say anything about that? I might have said that in another part of the series. So I always do a recap. So session 1, we talked about what has happened, how you have to really do a reality check when you go through people say I'm going through a divorce, and really not going through a divorce, because divorce doesn't happen until they get the gavel hit or you get the dissolution of marriage in the mail, right? That's when you are divorced. Up to that point, I call that a marital tornado. And what happens is a tornado tears things up. And I said once before that I have not experienced a tornado. What I meant, I have not experienced the negative effects of my property being torn up by a tornado. So I don't, I've been on the plane long enough to experience a tornado. But once a tornado comes into your existence, I tell people, look at the first 4 letters, T-O-R-N, torn. It's coming there to tear up stuff. It's going, when you go through a divorce and you finish the divorce, your life has been torn up prior to the divorce. So all these different areas of life got torn up. You got, I mean, when a tornado happened, you don't know what a roof is. And they always said, go search for cover and go into the basement, go into a closet so that you can hide from this tornado when it comes through. Hopefully you can still be alive and won't be injured in any way once this tornado has passed. Well, the same thing happened when you're going through a divorce, going to the final stage to the divorce. You know, all this stuff is happening. You know, this whirlwind is going on in your life. So you develop these survival skills. See, if you had to live in the woods for a whole month, the way that you live in the woods is not the same way you would live in your house. So you live in the woods, you know, you may be getting, you know, tree leaves to wipe yourself, right? But when you get in the house, you don't use tree leaves, do you? Right? You use toilet paper, right? Well, same thing in life. When you're going through these tornadoes, this marital tornado, you can develop these survival skills. And the survival skills were okay when you was going through the tornado. But the survival skills are irrelevant and need to be relinquished when you get back and go into life. So when you're rebuilding your life, you can't use those same survival skills to help you. So that's some of the things we talked about. So you have to develop, in session 2, we talked about you have to develop thriving skills. You need to thrive. One word of the word, I know we call it divorce or divorce, but it's really when you look at the way it's spelled, this D-I, we said divorce. Because when a divorce has happened, a marriage has died. And you have 2 criminal partners in crime. The husband and wife, they were partners in crime of killing this marriage that's now a divorce or divorce. So the word divorce also, a divorce, I'm sorry, I call it divorce. The word divorce has also a word that's related to it called divertir. And in the Latin, divertir means, obviously, vertir means to turn, right? So when you have happened, a divorce has happened in your life, you have to make a turn, not a curve, not like a slow turn. You're diverting. It's like stopping on the dime and making a turn. And that is pretty drastic, meaning the life that you had, you don't have anymore. You have this whole new life. And that's one thing that we don't accept when we do a reality check. We don't realize that we have a totally different life. All these areas of our lives is going to be different. We have to rebuild it because this tornado has come through and torn up parts of our life. So we have to go through the process of reorganizing our life again, right? That's how we remake it, right? We have to reorganize it, right? And we never had to reorganize our life because we never planned on being in divorce court, right? So we wasn't thinking about how to reorganize, but then we had to also reshape our life, right? We had to reshape it or reform it. We got to shape it a different way than what it was. And then this will help us rebuild our life, but we can't rebuild it until we reshape it. We can't reshape it until we remake it or reorganize it. So these are some of the things we have to do. And with some of the areas that we talked about, for instance, you have to reshape, reorganize, remake. You have to do these things to rebuild your feelings. Because after a divorce happens, your feelings all over the place, right? Sometimes they're positive, sometimes they're negative, right? Sometimes you like them, sometimes you can't stand them. Sometimes you miss them, sometimes you wish you never met them, right? All these things go through your mind because your feelings are all over the place. Emotionally, you're just everywhere. Why? Because you have just went through a divorce, right? And then we talked about you have to rebuild your faith. Now, again, I'm not going to tell you I believe in God, okay, personally. Now, I know everybody does not believe in God. I know everybody does not believe in God the same way. I know everybody don't believe in the same God per se, because a lot of people on the planet. But this is what I say: when you rebuilding your faith, you got to rebuild your faith back in your faith, whatever your faith is, because this is what's going to help you rebuild your life is by having some faith in your faith, right? And whatever that is for you, right? Some people say, well, I'm spiritual. Okay, whatever that is for you, you can't relinquish that. You can't just abandon that part of your life, because that's a major part of your life to help you rebuild after divorce has happened. Another area we talked about that you have to rebuild is you have to rebuild your family. You don't have the same family structure. See, when you were married, the challenge you all had is we're going to go to your mama house on Thanksgiving or my mama house on Thanksgiving. We're going to visit your parents or my parents or on Christmas, right? This is the little challenge that you had, right? Well, now that you are divorced, now you may say, wait a minute, hold on. I got this family structure. I'm going to have children, and I want them on Thanksgiving. Excuse me. But the mama want them on Thanksgiving too, right? I want them on Christmas, but the mama want them on Christmas too. I want them on the 4th of July. The mama want them on the 4th of July. I want them on Juneteenth. Mama want them on Juneteenth, right? So, so now you have this different family structure that you have going on. So this is totally different than what you had before. I already shared, you don't have this totally different life. Your life is not the same after a divorce has taken place. The sooner you accept that and realize that, the sooner you can start rebuilding and you can get out of this mode of being stuck. A lot of people, after they get divorced, they're stuck. They're just in one place. It's like they live their life on a treadmill. They're doing all this moving, but they're not going anywhere, right? They're not going anywhere in their family. They're not going anywhere in their faith. They're not going anywhere with their many areas of their life, their feelings, all these different things. So here's another area, like we talked about, your friends. See, your friends change. See, everybody's trying to get used to you not being where you were, right? And you try to get used to everybody else because you're in a different place. That was your sister-in-law. That was your brother-in-law. They don't look at you the same way because, you divorced their brother or their sister, right? That was your mother-in-law. That was your father-in-law. They don't look at you the same way because, see, now they can't invite you over for Christmas anymore because you're not part of the family, right? You are now an ex, right? So you can't come over for Christmas anymore. They don't make you a plate. They don't buy you a gift, right? So this life is different. So your family and your friends may do you a little different, especially if you had a lot of married friends. They may not want to hang out with you anymore because, you divorced. Unfortunately, a lot of friends pick sides. I'm picking the side of the woman. I'm picking the side of the man, right? They're doing all these different things because of the fact that they're trying to actually pick sides, which they really don't have to, right? So you have to reshape, reorganize, reform. You have to remake, rebuild these areas of your life. You're going to have to obviously rebuild with probably some different friends, right? You're going to have to rebuild your family structures differently than what you had before. So those are some of the areas that we talked about thus far. So I said a whole lot. So let's say, the last show is always a lot to recap because you got to recap 3 shows, right? Well, anyway, so today we're going to talk about some things in regards to redoing, some things you have to rebuild. And this is a major area. I don't care who you are in this going through a divorce. You always have to rebuild your finances. You say, I earn a bunch of money. Well, once you get divorced, you're going to have to rebuild those finances because it's a different structure. A lot of times people, they're together, right? They're married and somebody, if you all get divorced, somebody keeps the house and somebody don't. The financial situation for both people is going to be different. So you have to rebuild your finances because maybe you all were, when a lot of married couples, they're in this together and they put their money in one pot and you pay this, I pay that, or whatever it may be. But when the other person go, you got to pay it all, right? So maybe you can't afford that big old house anymore. Maybe you got to get a smaller house. See, this is rebuilding your finances. And a lot of people feel bad. Like, I had this big old house, I had this big 5-bedroom house and 3 baths. Now I got a 2-bedroom apartment, right? Oh my God, life just tearing me up. And so they feel bad about the fact that they had to quote unquote downsize, because you know why? When you have a divorce, divert, right? It's a different life. Yeah, you had a 5-bedroom house when you was with them. Now you got a 2-bedroom apartment because it's just you, right? Or maybe you got a 2-bedroom apartment and you have the children with you, right? So the life is different now. So the financial structure is different for you now. And this is when a lot of people get upset, because now it almost looks like a money battle. I want your money. You better give me more money. I'm not giving you that much money. So, who you make earn more money than I earn. So you need to give it to me. All these different things happen because now this financial life, and this is why a lot of people even stay married when they probably should just go ahead and go separate ways, right? Like I shared with you last session, that I realized when I was going through my divorce for the second time, right? 2 times. Whew, that's a whole lot. Never planned on doing that one, right? But anywho, but when I was going through the second time, that me and the ex-wife, we had to actually do some different situations. Why? Because our life was different. Her life was different. My life was different, right? So this means that because the family structure was different, all of the financial structures were different. All these different things different, right? See, just say, for instance, somebody stayed at home or they worked at night. So during the day, they picked up the children, right? You never had to pay for childcare, right? Well, now that person is not in your life anymore. So guess what? You got to pay for childcare. Your financial structure is different. Maybe you had your children in a school where you paying tuition. Well, now y'all not together. They got to go to the public school around the corner. You may not like it, but that's what they got to do, right? So I always share with you that, like I said last session, that I realized with my situation that because I was going to this storm, I didn't know I was going through a storm because I'm going through a tornado, right? I didn't know that's what's going on. But my children, unfortunately, wasn't in a position to see love from both people at the same time, because both people arguing and fussing and rolling their eyes, not talking to each other. All this stuff is going on during this marital storm, right? So I came to the conclusion that it's probably best that my children get love in 2 places, my place, my house, and then their mother's house, instead of trying to get hate in one place by the mother and I standing in the same place, not being too friendly, right? So I thought it would be best for them. And I think it's, even years later, almost a couple decades later, I thought it was best for them because they were able to get love in 2 different spots. So when they were with their mom, they can get love there. Then when they came back over with me, they get love with me, right? So they're getting this love in 2 different places. Well, this is some of the decisions, because the hardest decision to make in this process is deciding to agreeing to a divorce with someone. That is the hardest decision. Now, you can still make harder decisions after that. They're just not as hard as that one. To agree to say, we're going to kill this thing, right? We're going to go ahead and murder this marriage and move on with our lives. That's a hard decision to make, even though the other decisions after that. So a lot of people, because of the financial structure, they know their finances are going to change, him or her. They both know it. So they just stay together. They just stay in the same house. They don't like each other. And, they don't want to be around each other. But they stay in the same place because financially, they don't want to give up the house. Neither one of them want to move. So they blame it on the kids. We got to raise these kids. But these kids 25 years old now. We still got to raise them, right? So they had these different reasons because they know their financial situation is going to be different. Somebody's going to probably have to move back home with mama or dad. Somebody's going to probably have to move in with their brother or sister. And guess what? Neither one of them want to do that because they cannot handle the financial lifestyle that they were used to having when both of them were together. So that's why their finances and their financial situation is going to change drastically because of the fact that they have this different financial life that need to be changed. Well, if that's the case, you have to get ready for that. And you can't get mad about it, right? This is when people start trying to find people. Now, again, remember, you got your survival skills, right? Because you have to relinquish these things. But since you didn't relinquish them, now you trying to make sure every person you look to go out on a date with, they got to earn $400,000 a year, right? Because, you need somebody to take care of you, right? So this is what ended up happening. So what has to happen when it comes to finances, in order to rebuild your finance, you need to learn about finances because your financial life is different. Whether you've been married 5 years, 15 years, 35 years, when you come out of this situation, you have a different financial life. Some people wait till the children get a certain age and they finally get divorced so they won't have to get a other person spousal support or child support, right? Because they know that we adults, we know the financial situation is going to change if I walk out of here or if you walk out of here. We're not going to have the same financial situation. We already know that, right? So now this is what has to happen. This is the reality that we have to learn more obviously about finance, and we need to rebuild our finances. Maybe that person had a good pension plan with them, right? And you didn't have a good pension plan at your job. So now people trying to stay together so I can get part of that pension, right? And this is not a good thing all the time because now we're looking at things in a negative way in most cases. And then now again, there's no love in this place. I'm all about being happy because I believe life is too short to be unhappy. Because I've been unhappy before. I've been depressed before. I've been sad before. I walked down that street before. And the older I get, the more I realize life is too short. It's too short just to be around people for another $50, for another $300, for another $500. You just learn how to do some things differently with your finance. Yes, is it going to be tough at first? Of course. You've been living with this person for 10 years, 15 years, 5 years, 20 years. So you've been doing things a different way. You know that you couldn't get this house by yourself. You needed them to keep this house, right? Well, you might have to get rid of the house because you're going to have some peace. Do you want to live the last 5 years just for a house and be sad for the next 5 years? Just for a house? Just for a car? Just for a neighborhood? You don't think that there's another neighborhood you can go into and still be happy? And see, this is what happens to a lot of us. Until now, this storm, see, for some people, the storm is longer than others. And when I say the storm that part when we just can't get along, we may separate, may get back together, separate again. We may be separated for 2, 3, 4, 5, 8 years, right? And so the longer you stay in that place, the longer you in that storm and the longer your survival skills turn into your life skills. And again, we don't want to use leaves as our life skills, right? Again, that worked out in the forest when you had to live out there in the woods for 3 months. All you had was leaves. You had to use leaves to wipe yourself, right? But you don't live in the forest anymore. You live in a house. You look pretty strange in your backyard getting all the leaves you can find, snatching leaves off every tree you walk by so you can take them home so you can have leaves in the house. That's going to look strange. Now, that looks a little facetious, sounds a little strange, might not be the best visual, right? However, this is how we look when we don't get better life skills when we get through this thing called divorce. See, we stay in these separations and everything for so long, and then we bring that same old, those survival skills. I call them survival skills, but they raggedy over here. And we bring that same old raggedy financial skills, same old raggedy feelings, same old raggedy faith skills, right? Same old raggedy family skills, same old raggedy friend skills. And we bring all those over here to this new life, and they don't work out well. In other words, you run around, like I said, run around the whole block. You just trying to get all the leaves off the trees that you can find. Ooh, that's a good leaf. That's a good leaf. That's a big leaf. Oh yeah, that's a little leaf. I can use that leaf. Yeah, that sounds strange. But see, if all you thinking about is how you lived in the forest, that's how you gonna live your life in the city, right? And this is what happens to a lot of us when we go through this thing called divorce. See, our feelings are messed up. Our friends, we don't know how to build relationship with friends. Now we don't want any friends. Because one thing that happened to a lot of people in divorce, unfortunately, they run around, they isolate themselves. Or they get very obsessive in something. They're going to stay in church all day long because they're trying to get their life together. So they never go out on a date ever again. And they've been divorced for 25, 30 years. Right? And what they did, they took their survival skills that they lived in the forest with. They took those and said, I just know how not to be hurt anymore. Just never date anybody again. So that leads me to this last thing, right? That one of the things in rebuilding your life, you have to rebuild your future. And one of the things is that chances are after a divorce, there's a chance that you could go on a date again. There's a chance that you might be in a relationship again, right? And a lot of times when people go through a divorce, or go through that storm and then they live in life after divorce. And I understand because I've been through too. So it's not like I'm pointing the finger at you or anything. I understand where a lot of people are because I've been there. You don't think that you're going to ever love anybody again. Matter of fact, you might say, I think I could love somebody, but you don't think nobody else will love you again. And then you don't even know how to measure love anymore because you thought that person loved you, but look what happened. You was in a divorce. So maybe they didn't love you, right? Which is not true. But see, when you're going through I told you feelings all over the place, right? When you're going through this thing after divorce, and usually this is the first mistake a lot of us make. Instead of us spending our time trying to rebuild our feelings, trying to rebuild our faith, trying to rebuild our families, trying to rebuild our friends, and try to rebuild our finances. Instead of us taking the time to do that first, the first thing we try to do is go find us another body, which really should be the last thing we do in this process. But we don't know any better. We didn't go to divorce class 101, right? So we don't know what to do. We just think we just need another person, right? We haven't even rebuilt our feelings yet. We are still hurt and damaged and all messed up. And we don't even know how to figure some of this stuff out yet, right? We still using the same modes of operation that we used with the last person. We're using it on the next person, right? We doing the same things we did for the last person. And then we don't even know how to pick people to date, right? Sometimes, and hopefully this, me saying these things now to you, is that even if you've never been divorced or been married before, and you might want to date someone that has been divorced. And see, and then maybe you've been divorced and you might want to date somebody that haven't been married, right? So here's something you have to realize. Some people that never been married before don't want to date people that's been divorced before, especially when they're younger, right? When they get older, they might say, well, I understand because I've been divorced too, right? So as you get older, you probably going to meet somebody that's been divorced, right? When you're young, when you're 22 years old, you say you're divorced, people are like, what in the world is wrong with you? Well, you're only 22, right? But when you're like 42 years old and you say, yeah, I've been married and divorced, it's like, oh, yeah, me too, right? You get that. And you get people, I've been married 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, right? The older you get, people have went through more than one divorce. I'm not saying that like it's a accomplishment or anything. It's just the reality of life. So sometimes when people that haven't been married, when they do want to get involved and date someone that has been through a divorce, they look at it as, especially if you know that the person didn't like divorce, it kind of shook them up, right? They didn't like it. It hurt them real bad. So these people want to get married to these people and say, I'll go ahead and marry you because you don't want to get divorced again. So, I mean, I can do what I want to do and act like a big old fool, so to speak. And I can cheat on you. I can take your money from you, not pay stuff. I can do what I want to do because I know how badly you don't want to go through another divorce. So what they end up doing is taking advantage of your pain, right? This is why you got to rebuild your feelings so you can see that type of stuff a mile away. I'm not saying you're going to be 100% accurate, but you'll be able to see when people come into your life with those type of behaviors. But when your feelings all over the place and they wink at you 2 times, blink at you 2 times, give you a big old hug and kiss, you think, hey, he or she's the one for me, right? That's who I'm looking for. Because see, you have been divorced and been by yourself for a year, 2 years, 5 years. And so somebody giving you some attention, you think they the ones for you, but they might not be the ones for you because you haven't rebuilt your feelings so that you can walk into the next thing with healthier feelings built from the whole damaged thing and get your survival skills out the way so you can get your thriving skills, make it part of the way you're going to do your life and live your life from this point on. So when you get good at that, now you can start dating people because you might date someone that has been divorced. Some people that have been divorced would not date a person that never been divorced because they want people to understand the feeling of going through a divorce, right? Again, some people that never been married don't want to date anybody that's been divorced because see, sometimes people can't understand this structure that you have. They don't understand that you might still be kind of cool with the ex-husband or the ex-wife because of the fact that you all have children together and you all have to try to raise these kids and put these kids on a firm footing. We said, well, these kids are 25 years old. Well, you a grandparent and both of y'all the grandparents of these children that even though you all divorced, but both of y'all still the grandparents of these children. And people that have not walked down that path of being a divorced person before, they don't understand that you still have to try to keep some type of relationship with that other party, right? Not that y'all best friends and y'all hanging out and talking on the phone all the time. No. It's that you all have a lot of commonalities in your life especially when you have children involved. Now, you're not hanging out with them over their house, over your no. But you know that you are the grandparents. A graduation going with the grandkids, or the child does something, the child have a baby, or the child gets married, right? You said, oh, that's my daughter. Well, it's the other person's daughter too, right? And sometimes people that haven't been divorced don't know how to handle the fact that you are, because everybody think that everything's supposed to be like, I hate you, you hate me, I can't stand you, I ought to hit you with a brick. See, and people don't understand that, you know what, I can be amicable with you. I can still be nice to you. I can still be friendly with you. And that don't mean anything between you and I, but we just being friendly, right? Because we have a common denominator, which is the son or the daughter or the grandchild or the graduation or the baby or the marriage or whatever it may be. And so this is why you have to rebuild your feelings. And if you get with someone that has been divorced, you looking at them, hey, have you rebuilt your feelings, right? Are you still trying to actually be part of what he or she is doing? Sometimes people haven't gotten over ex-husband, ex-wife. They haven't, right? And see, you know why? Because they never took the time to rebuild their feelings about ex-husband, ex-wife, and that situation that they went through with that divorce, right? They never took the time to rebuild that. So since they never took the time to rebuild that, now here they are in the situation, and they don't know how to handle this new situation because of the fact that they never got healed from the last one, right? They never got healed. So now they said, hey, how come the lady saying that she got 3 or 4 different bank accounts, but y'all married now, she won't tell you. You find out business people like, hey, I know you had a bank account over there. But see, when she went through that marital tornado, and she said, I had my money was his money, and he got this and he did this, and he had these babies out there, and the lady took my money out the account. See, so now they got these survival skills. So they got 3 or 4 bank accounts they haven't even told you about. It could be a man too, right? They haven't even told you about because they're living off their survival skills. I found, especially after my first marriage, and that went to a divorce, and then I got married again, I was still living off some survival skills from after the first time I got married and divorced. I didn't realize that. Nobody ever told me that, hey, man, you might be living off survival skills. But I'm living off these survival skills going into another marriage, right? Even though it happened years later, but that's what happened. I realized after the second marriage and I got divorced the second time, I realized I had some other survival skills I was trying to live on. It took me about 3 or 4 years to realize, wait a minute, man, you're living off survival skills, right? I didn't know that. Nobody had told me that. This is one reason why I'm doing this show for you. Because if you don't know, you don't know. If you don't know that you run around there pulling leaves off trees, if you don't know you doing stuff like that, you just think it's your way of life because you've been doing it now for the last 8 years. You don't understand that. You understand that this, you don't need to do that anymore, but you still doing it because of the fact that no one has brought to your attention. You're living off survival skills that you don't need to live off anymore. You can't thrive living off survival skills. You can just survive. We're trying to thrive. Remember I told you the word divert? It has the letter V-E-R-T, and that's the root word to the word. That part of that is the root word to the word vertical. So when you divert in a divorce, you want to actually now start going vertical. That's why I said rebuild your life. You have to, in order to build something, it has to go up. It can go wide too, but one thing it won't do, it won't stay on the ground. It got to go up further than the ground, whether it's a foot, 2 foot, 1 level, 6 feet, 8 feet, 10 feet, 400 feet. It still has to go up beyond the ground, right? Meaning that you have to obviously build some type of foundation so that you can build life vertical after this divorce has happened to you. And the better you get at understanding that you have to, and you notice all the areas start with the letter F, right? That don't mean that you failed anything. It just happened. That's how it came to me, right? When I started putting it together. So that's why you have to rebuild areas in your feelings. You have to take a lot of time because, people say, well, no such thing as being emotional. You just have to, because you're going to love again. Somebody's going to love you again. Trust me, really. You may not have been all that to the last person that you got divorced from, but boy, you might be exactly what the next person looking for. You might be all that to them, right? Again, but if you isolate yourself and don't rebuild your feelings, love can come and smack you upside the head, hit you in the face, punch you in the nose. You won't even know what happened. You won't even know that's love hitting you, right? That sound kind of violent, but I mean, love can come in your face, knock on the door, say, I'm love, I'm here. You won't even see it because you haven't rebuilt your feelings. And then you're trying to negate the fact that you have some emotions. And this is what's kind of bothersome with people when you look at this. When people try to say, well, stuff like love and all that, so you don't need all that stuff. That's stuff emotion. You just have to just think logical. Listen, you take your emotions with you everywhere you go. When you happy, you see somebody gave you $1 million right now. You say, "Ooh, I'm happy." You can't say, "Well, hey, what you doing with that happy emotion?" You can't have that happy emotion. You can't be taking your emotions around. You just got $1 million. See, it sounds kind of ridiculous, doesn't it? Right? It sounds somewhat My example may sound a little facetious, but the point I want to let you know is that you have emotions, you have feelings, and it's okay to deal with those. It's okay to rebuild those. It's okay to rebuild because a lot of times you come out of divorce, you angry. You mad, man. You mad. You mad. You mad at everybody. Mad at everybody that is somebody or somebody that's everybody. That you mad at everybody. You don't take much for you. I mean, you mad because it's Sunday, you mad because it's Tuesday. Because you're angry. And you know what? That's okay. Like I said to you before, it's okay not to be okay after a divorce has happened. You and your partner in crime just murdered a marriage. You should not be all that excited after committing a murder, right? You shouldn't be like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. You just murdered something that was never intended to be murdered. And this is hopefully when you learn from this scenario, learn from what I'm sharing with you here, that you will look at it and say, hey, even if you've been married 25, 30 years, hey, I applaud you. I'm happy for you. But maybe this will give you some empathy because they say half the people that get married gonna get divorced. So it's a good chance to have somebody in your family is gonna meet and have to walk down the street called divorce. It's a good chance somebody at your church is gonna walk down the street divorce. There's a good chance one of your friends are gonna get divorced. Somebody on your block where you live. And this hopefully, if you learning this from me, hopefully it'll help you create some type of empathy for them. That so if they kind of acting a little funny and feelings all over the place, it's only natural. They just went through a murder, right? Something in their life has been murdered, which is that relation, that marriage. So they may act a certain way. They feel that they may like you today and may not like you tomorrow. They may just start crying at work. All these things may happen because of the fact that they're going through, they're trying to deal with their feelings. So don't berate them. Don't look at them and kick them to the curb. Invite them in if you have some empathy. Invite them into your circles. Invite them out. Don't invite them out so they can go get drunk. That don't solve anything. Don't invite them out so they can go get high. Don't invite them. I know the perfect person for you. I know the perfect person for this guy at my job. This lady at my job. I know at my church. No. Help them rebuild their feelings. Help them, share with them, right? Share, help them get some help. Again, it might be your brother or sister. I remember at one point, when I first went through my second divorce and, I was in certain circles and people were acting a little different towards me and everything because, you're not supposed to be divorced and something wrong with you if you get divorced, right? But then when some of the people that they like, some of their friends, some of the people that there was, in their circle got divorced, all of a sudden now, happy to, hey, don't look at them that way. But see, you didn't say that same thing when people like me got divorced. You just told us that all of us bad. I'm bad. The ex-wife bad. They bad over there. All of us bad. But when your friend got divorced, when your auntie, see, when your cousin, when your sister, your brother, when your uncle, when your father, when your mother, see, when they got divorced, all of a sudden now, I got to work with, don't think they just trying to go through some things. They just, pretty sad right now. Oh, but when I was sad, something was wrong with me, right? Oh, you didn't call them dirty old dog when they divorced your cousin, right? Or when they divorced your brother or sister. So I'm saying all this, that whether you've been through a divorce or not, I'm hoping that what we learned over these last 4 sessions, that I'm hoping that it teaches you something and hopefully that you have a level of empathy for people when they're trying to go through this rebuild. They may have to borrow some money from you. Yep. They may have to say, you know what? I'm trying to keep these kids in school. I need to borrow some money. They might have to borrow your car. They might have to move in with you, right? Because they're going through a divorce. They're going through the life after the divorce, I should say. They're trying to figure this thing out. They've been crying all night, very little sleep. They're sad, depressed. Or they may put on a smiling face. Yeah, but they might need to borrow $20 for some gas. They might need some groceries for her or him and the children, right? This stuff may happen. And it's not that they're weak people. It's not that they're reckless people or, irresponsible people. They just went through a divorce. Their finances are all messed up. They might need help paying their light bill. They might need help doing those things. So with all that said and done, hopefully you learn some things with this. I'm on, got about 2 minutes. Okay, so let me promote some people real quick before I close it out. And if you want to get promoted on any of the shows I do here at IntellectualRadio.com, you can come hit me at fullofpurposemedia@gmail.com. So the first person we're going to promote is Miss all right, yeah, we're going to promote Miss Tammey D. Hale. She's a real estate professional in the Northwest Indiana area. Looking to buy or sell or invest in real estate, call Tammey D. Hale. She is the owner of Miss Hale Realty. Tammey serves all of Northwest Indiana. She has over 17 years of experience. Tammey is professional and knowledgeable about the Indiana real estate market. Tammey D. Hale wants to be your real estate broker for life. You can contact Miss Tammey at 219-781-2963. It's 219-781-2963. You also get a free consultation by mentioning you heard about her here on a Greater You Show here on IntellectualRadio.com and iHeart Station with your host, Dr. Anthony L. Gantt. The next person, Miss Yardley D. Theodore. She's an insurance professional. Are you a truck driver? Do you want to save money on your business insurance? If so, don't wait. Contact Miss Yardley L. Theodore at 630-998-8852. She is a dedicated insurance broker who has the ability to quote you from multiple insurance companies to save you money. You also get a free consultation by mentioning that you heard about Miss Yardley D. Theodore here on a Greater You Show here on IntellectualRadio.com and iHeart Station with your host, Dr. Anthony L. Gantt. Next person, Ms. Perdue. She's an insurance professional as well. Will your insurance company pay you 70 to 90% of your policy face value if you experience a qualifying terminal, chronic, or critical illness or critical injury? If not, get started with living benefits today. Contact Ms. Sonja Perdue at 773-609-2226 or www.getstartedwithlivingbenefits.com. You'll also get a free consultation by mentioning that you heard about Ms. Sonja doing her business here on the Greater You Show here on IntellectualRadio.com and iHeart Station with your host, Dr. Anthony L. Gantt. And the last person, Mr. Attorney Terrance Godbolt. Again, he's an attorney. When someone passes away, they always leave some unfinished business. If they have a will or estate plan in place, that unfinished business is usually easier to conclude. With or without a will or estate plan, you should consult with someone who knows and understands the law in this area. Attorney Terrance Godbolt has more than 20 years of experience in assisting people just like you in these circumstances. Also, Mr. Attorney Terrance Godbolt has also assisted entrepreneurs in achieving their business dreams. He can help you with establishing your LLC, your C Corp, S Corp, and many other things involved with business, the legal parts of business, and real estate. You can contact Mr. Attorney Terrance Godbolt at 708-596-6984 or BOLTESQ at Comcast.net. You will also get a free consultation by mentioning that you heard about Mr. Terrance Godbolt and his business here on IntellectualRadio.com or the Greater You Show on IntellectualRadio.com and iHeart Station with your host, Dr. Anthony L. Gantt. If you want to want me to promote you on your business, you can contact me at fullofpurposemedia@gmail.com. And as I close, as I always do, great people like you have been born great. However, by working on yourself, that would help you become a greater you. And I'll see you next time.